How Germany could have won World War II. Speculation about alternative history is a popular topic among historians. World War II in particular is a hot topic, and many theories have been floating around over the decades. Some claim that Germany could never have won no matter what, while others claim that victory was not only possible, but was very nearly achieved had it not been for some bad decisions and unfortunate events. First of all, we need to define what a German victory would have looked like. By avoiding defeat and remaining as the European hegemon, free from the international banking system and any foreign interference, and retaining the status as regional superpower, which Germany was between 1940 and 1943. This would have been considered a victory. Had Germany successfully fended off its enemies, forcing them into some kind of peaceful settlement without losing territory or making any military concessions, as was done at the Treaty of Versailles, then both the Soviet Union and the Anglo-American powers would have had to accept Germany's existence. Contrary to popular belief, the NSDAP and Hitler never intended to conquer the world. This was a myth and part of the post-war lies written by the victors to smear Germany and brainwash the masses into this notion of a rogue state with a madman at the helm. As a history enthusiast myself, I have often pondered on this question and the possibilities of an Axis victory in Europe and what this may have looked like, but more importantly, how it could have happened and what would have been necessary to change the outcome of the war. With France defeated in June of 1940, Britain isolated, and no hostilities on the Eastern Front, North Africa became the focus of the fighting. In this timeline, the Battle of Britain would make no difference if it happened or not, as it didn't involve land forces and was almost exclusively an aerial battle. In 1940, the British only had a single armored division in Egypt, comprising of just 65 tanks, albeit reinforced with around 36,000 infantry. Aircraft were also in short supply. In our timeline, Germany only committed 2 divisions to North Africa, with a total of 33,000 men and 150 tanks. Even with this modest force, Rommel was able to defeat the British. It was only with the arrival of fresh reinforcements, which overwhelmed the Germans by sheer numerical advantage, and the British finally gained the upper hand and were able to push the Germans out of North Africa. Germany had 20 armored divisions available, 4 of which would have sufficed to defeat the British decisively. In this timeline, 10 armored divisions are sent in and swiftly overrun the British positions in Egypt, pushing them back to Cairo, which is quickly surrounded, besieged, and forced to surrender. The Germans then capture the Suez Canal and take the remaining part of Egypt, east of the Nile, forcing the British to retreat across the Sinai into Palestine and the Levant. Despite some reinforcements, the British can't prevent further German advances into the Middle East, where they quickly take Syria, Jordan, and Iraq, with local populations more than happy to be free of British imperialism, as they see the Germans as liberators, as we witnessed in our timeline across Europe. Turkey, although neutral, has historically been friendly to Germany, and as it becomes more evident that the Germans are winning the war, Ankara begins to consider joining the side of Berlin, or at least cooperate and assist by giving transit rights across Turkey. Also, by capturing the Suez, the Mediterranean is now effectively drained of the Royal Navy, as their largest port of Alexandria is in German hands, and Britain is forced to circumnavigate the southern Cape of Africa, further isolating London's Asian territories. With the Mediterranean free of enemy ships, the entire southern flank is now secure, with no chance of it being used as a staging ground for an amphibious assault, as we saw in our timeline. The French colonies of both West Africa and the Maghreb are now occupied by German troops, and the port of Dakar becomes a U-boat naval base, giving the Kriegsmarine a longer reach across the Atlantic. The British still hold Gibraltar and Malta, but neither can be resupplied and are forced to surrender. Greece and Yugoslavia have no choice but to negotiate peaceful settlements, as Britain is unable to offer them any kind of military support, giving Germany control over all of southeastern Europe without losing a single soldier. With German armies in firm control of the entire Middle East, they are now within striking distance of the Soviet oil fields in the Caucasus. This puts the USSR in a precarious position, and with its southern flank exposed, Moscow will go to great lengths to maintain peace with Berlin. Meanwhile, Britain will be forced to divert its forces to India, which Germany can also threaten. Britain's position in Europe becomes almost irrelevant, as they would never have been able to build up a large enough force to invade the continent, even with assistance from the USA, which is more concerned with the threat from Japan. This route to victory was so obvious that the British High Command even saw it, as did a number of German leaders, including Alfred Jodl, Chief of Operations of the Armed Forces, Erich Raeder, Commander of the German Navy, and Erwin Rommel, destined to gain fame in North Africa as the Desert Fox. By keeping either the USA or the Soviet Union out of the war, Germany would have survived. They could have taken on one or the other and achieved at the very least a partial victory. Defeating Germany was only possible with the combined forces of both the USSR and the Anglo-Americans, forcing Germany into a two-front war of attrition, as what happened in our timeline. This was the only recipe for a victory over Germany. Any other scenario would have allowed Germany to remain under Hitler and the NSDAP. The Suez was a shortcut to German victory. Germany would not have needed to attack Britain directly or engage in a costly campaign in the Atlantic against British shipping. This move would have checked the Soviet Union and at the very least delayed any confrontation on the Eastern Front for a few years, allowing Germany to build up its forces. The USA would not have been able to challenge Germany, even with Britain, therefore leaving German industry free from aerial bombardment and thus intact. In conclusion, the key to ending the war in Germany's favor lay not in the east or the west, but in the south. The Suez was the Achilles heel of the British Empire. This could even be seen, not so much as some great final battle ending in a glorious victory, but more of a shortcut to peace, a de-escalation, a diffusion of the conflict which in 1940 hadn't really taken off yet. By seizing Egypt and the Suez, World War II would have been nipped in the bud, thus avoiding all-out war. A swift blow neutralizing the main protagonist, Britain, which would have been sidelined with such a blow by Germany to the point of irrelevance. The warmongers in London, no doubt, would never have accepted terms of peace, even in this scenario, yet a de facto ceasefire would have been forced upon them, causing Churchill especially to have a fit of rage. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please consider subscribing. Please also share and leave a like. It's free and it helps the channel. Also, a big thank you to all of you who have very kindly donated. I very much appreciate your generosity, as this channel is demonetized. For one-off donations, it's easy. I accept PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee, or even crypto. Links are in the description. Until next time.